G'day, I'm Dr. Peter Price of Classroom Professor. Welcome to this week's video in the Free Math Worksheet series. The topic this week is near 10 addition, adding 8. There is a previous video I've done some time ago now, which is a similar one on the near 10 strategy for adding 9. So we use this strategy for both add-ends. So this topic, I just put a note up here because it's I've checked and there are 3 different grade recommendations. So in the US, this is appropriate for grade 1, UK, year 1, Australia, year 2. And if you're in another country, I'm sorry, I don't know, but you would need to check your curriculum. So we're going to be adding 8. So let's start with 8 on the left-hand side. And then we'll have a second number on the right-hand side. So this is our first example. And we will have 8 plus 3 equals something. So we're going to use the 10 frame resource. If you've watched my videos, you'll know I strongly recommend that you use these with young students to learn all of their numbers up to 20 by using a pair of 10 frames like this. And also all addition and subtraction basic number facts up to 20. So using the 10 frame, we have a distinct advantage over activities that don't use a 10 frame because we can see how many are left to make up to 10. So if we remove the frames and just had the counters, we could find the answer, but it's likely to be just by counting. And we can count 3 more reasonably quickly, but with larger numbers we don't want to be counting all the numbers. So the 10 frame lets us see there are just 2 left to fill this one up, which is as I said, a big advantage. So my approach would be to ask the students to put the counters on their own double 10 frames and then ask them what the answer is and say, I don't want you to count them. Nobody is to start pointing and counting them all, but can you tell me what the number will be without counting and without moving the counters either? So it's rather a challenge for young students, but if they're familiar with using 10 frames, it shouldn't take much for them to see, to visualize and imagine, if you like, if they move 2 of these counters up there, that would make that 10. And 10 is an easy number to add on to something else. And of course there'll be 1 left over here. Of course you'd ask them to do that after they've thought it through. And then you could ask them to write a new number sentence like so. And of course 10 plus 1 is 11. And we'll see that 8 plus 3 is the same answer because of conservation of number and so on. We haven't taken any away or added some extra ones. So that's the basic approach using the 10 frames. I would follow that up immediately with another question using a different second number. So maybe we could leave everything else the same in our written record and say that, well, this is now 8 plus 6. What will this be? 10 plus something else. Could we do the same strategy, students? Yes, we could. We could move 2 of these. Can you imagine moving those 2? How many will be left over here? What's the entire number? I might like to remove that completely and just say, can you work out the answer without going through the somewhat laborious step of writing it down? 8 plus 6 is what? We're going to be imagining moving 2 of them over here. What will that make the 6? That will make it 4, and the 8 will be 10. What's 10 and 4? Of course, it's 14. So I believe this is not a terribly challenging set of number facts if we take it patiently and we give the students the right materials to help them visualize the strategy itself, so that ultimately we can do it without the counters and without the 10 frames and see an example like 8 plus 6, and the students will just mentally go, okay, 6, I can take 2 off that, make 4, it's 14, and do that in their head. The other variations, of course, is that we want to reverse this so we can have something plus 8. That's the same fact, but the 8's on the other side. We still really want to make the 10 on the left-hand side, but we want to be able to add the numbers in the reverse order. And of course, we've got a whole lot of subtraction facts that are similar. In fact, we might look at a subtraction fact now and just see what happens if we say, let's take away 8. I think the worksheets in this one don't include subtraction, but this is a bit of a bonus on the video. So let's have 17 So this is quite a challenging example. So we'll take the subtraction question. 17 take away 8 equals what? And we're saying to our students we're going to subtract 8. How many will we have left? Again, the students should be able to see, visualizing this, they'll be able to see, well, if I removed those 8, there'd be those 2 left. So if I move those 2 over to there, if I imagine that, I can see what number will be here. Because here's 7, I know the next odd number, or I can see what this will look like with 2 more counters right there like that, and that will make 9. These are now gone out of the picture, and so obviously we've got 9 left. And if we did a series of those, our students could see that what we're really doing is taking this number and adding 2, and that's the result of applying the strategy of subtracting 8. Okay, we've run out of time for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.